YWCA is on a mission. Our mission is to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. This presentation is about the YWCA in Clark County, Washington. The YWCA has been at the forefront of the most critical social movements for more than 150 years, from women's empowerment and civil rights to affordable housing and pay equity to violence prevention and healthcare. The YWCA celebrated its sesquicentennial anniversary, 150 years of service, with the launch of the Own It campaign. The campaign focused on igniting a new generation of 22 million young women aged 18 to 34, inspiring them to get involved with important issues facing women and the country today. The Clark County YWCA's strengths are shown through core values. This branch provides points of service and referrals for women victims of domestic violence, legal referrals and guidance for no contact orders or restraining orders, support, guidance, and referrals for women victims of sexual assault, and provides support groups to women. Clark County YWCA is grant funded, has a volunteer workforce, partners with CASA and other local agencies, is committed to diversity, teamwork, empowerment of women, respect, and service, provides and maintains a domestic violence support shelter. The YWCA of Clark County offers many programs that are designed to help women, with programs such as community outreach, prevention and education of sexual assault, domestic violence assistance, homelessness assistance, early childhood education, and a foster care program. When comparing the YWCA of Clark County, it doesn't stack up fairly against other agencies locally and internationally. One local example is the YWCA of Seattle, King, Snohomish, which offers exact programs of Clark County, but in addition, they offer legal assistance, family self-sufficiency, landlord liaison project, a single parents program, a food program, permanent housing, veteran services, and a furniture share house.
I was born and grew up in a very warm and very safe environment. My parents were doctors, so it was very, having education was like, there was no choice that you cannot have less education. You need to always have at least university level postgraduate. So I did my master's in clinical psychology. I came here after getting married in 2003. He sponsored me. But when I came here, his life was quite a chaos. He did not have the same job. There was no school because he could not finish the school. The first thing that was told to me that, we want a child. You need to start a family right away, no matter what the situation is. So I got pregnant right away from my first child. And then that was another challenge because I was in a new country. I was learning a new language. I was settling in a new environment. I was pregnant for my first child. I used to sometimes work 10 to 3 and 3 to 11. There's no break in between two jobs. In 2010 was the first time that I spoke for myself. I stood up and I said, this is not the way I want to live my life. I have all the rights to be who I am, and I'm just literally losing my mind. And for that reason, when I told my ex-husband and his family, they thought that I was mentally ill. They said, it's just a mental illness that you have. And I said, no, it's just not the mental illness. I need to be who I am. I'm just losing my mind. I'm isolated. I don't have any emotional support. I don't have any financial security. And I don't think that's the way I can make it work for the rest of my life. I just spoke for myself, I just got a voice. That was the moment when I got into massive trouble. Starting from 2010, I went through emotional and physical abuse. So in 2011, my ex-husband found a job in Prince Rupert. He told me that, life will be different and then I'll change, and I apologized, and he turned back to the same beast like he was. It was not physical at that time, but it was more of an emotional trauma for me. He will just literally walk around me and he'll be like, what you gonna do now? Where are you gonna go? So now who's gonna rescue you? You're still my wife, and then you didn't want to be, and then you have no choice other than just do what I'm asking you to do. And I thought, now what I'm gonna do, now who's gonna help me? I met this neighbor of mine who was a clinical counselor, and she connected me with a support worker. August 2nd, 2012, that was the day for me to move out, and it was 11 o'clock. My support worker was supposed to pick me up. All of a sudden, I received a phone call, and he said, I'm coming home in 10 minutes. I thought, I have 10 minutes to save my life. My kids were not even aware of what's going on, but I literally ran to the transition house. So I made it. I got the full custody of my children, and the judge said, there's no point. She is supposed to live here. She is allowed to leave with her children to where her life is. The first door that opened for me was YWCA Second Stage Housing, which is furnished housing for single mothers. I just started my new life from there. In 2013, I got approved for my funding. So from Work BC to get funding to go back to school. That was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I got my permanent housing from YWCA, which is a permanent housing for single mothers. And I moved there in first week of April 2013. Then after that, I just finished my school recently in December. I think after starting this wonderful life and this amazing new journey, through the support that YWCA gave me, now it's my responsibility to give it back to the community, and also the positive energy that was given to me, I will pass it on to the people who needs it the most. And in order to do that, I'm connected with YWCA Transition House, and I will always be working for Y, so that I have this peace of mind that I'm giving back to them what they gave to me, which is an absolute new life and a wonderful beginning of an amazing journey.
I was born very sick, very sick. They weren't expecting me to read or write or really function normally in society. At 17, I moved out. From the ages of about 21 till 26, it just spiraled downwards to the point of being homeless, pills, alcohol, cocaine, crack cocaine. It was pretty crazy. At 26, I went to the doctor and he said that I was having a baby. And I had two choices. I could stop using and drinking and try to give this child the best chance, or I could continue what I was doing and repeat the cycle that I was born with. So we had the ultrasound and I saw this little, this tiny little ball that just, it beats. It's like a little heart that beats. And I stopped smoking cigarettes. I stopped drinking, everything. I just stopped everything. I mean, I was having this child that didn't have a choice, that I was its mother. I was so scared. So scared. When Michael, my son, was 22 months, I went to this barbecue and had a couple of beers. My mom, who was in the contract with me, had a responsibility to report if anything like that was happening. She also had a fear that if I was going to go down those roads again, that she would lose me forever. She made the phone call that got him apprehended, and I understand that today now. It saved my life in the end. And that was probably the worst day of my life. The one thing that I did right, the one thing that loved me and I loved so much, was now gone. At about 4.5 months with my son not being in my custody, I got told that I had to go to residential treatment or I was going to lose custody completely. While I was at treatment, I got referred to a program, a parenting program, the Nobody's Perfect parenting program, which is run through the YWCA. Immediately, I felt like I didn't have to be ashamed of what I was doing and what I did, and that my son wasn't in my custody. And she suggested that I move upstairs. And I said, no, it's not gonna work. I had been phoning all these other places. Nobody was gonna allow me to move in without my son 50% in my custody. That wasn't looking like it was gonna happen anytime soon. So I've picked up the phone and phoned Benita, and she booked an appointment in with me. And met Benita, and she brought out this huge pile of papers. And I mean, when she put it on her desk, it shook everything. She said that those are all her applications that were in and that she has to go through them. And so I burst into tears. I was just like, okay, here's another bridge that I can't cross. It's not working. And then she took my application and put it on top and said that it was her priority and asked me when I could move in. So in that moment, then I'm crying because I'm happy. And I asked if I could hug her. And so 2 weeks later, on April 15th, I moved into upstairs, which is the Crabtree Corner housing. There was always a door open to go talk and have somebody listen. 6 months clean and sober, I'm doing parenting courses, I'm asking for help. It still wasn't good enough. So I was losing hope fast. I was like a sinking ship, and I was just like a time bomb waiting to go off, because every day it was just new disappointment. And they all just kept me hopeful. They'd all have smiles on their faces and, told me that they were proud of me and told me that I was doing the right things. I was 11 months clean and sober, and the judge looked at me and said, what I'm looking at here is somebody who's put herself in a safe place and has safe resources and supportive resources that are willing to stand by her through this process and not give up on her. And he said, we're gonna honor the year clean and sober, so we need to start this process. December 4th, 2012, he was home with me full time. I mean, I had left a 22-month-old baby that was learning to talk in diapers, and I got home a 3-year-old little boy. Well, when I came to Crabtree 2 years ago, I was a broken, hopeless human being. I felt so alone. And then each day that I kept coming back to this organization, it just got better and better. Part of me doesn't think that I would be alive today. Definitely, I don't think that my son would be home with me. Right now I have this little 4-year-old boy who 50 times a day tells me that he loves me, tells me that I look pretty, comes up with ideas of fun things for us to do together. It's like night and day. He's just so gentle and calm, and he's a happy little boy who's home with his mommy. Thanks to this organization.
After conducting a SWOT analysis of the Clark County YWCA, certain weaknesses were identified. The majority of the staff is volunteers, which creates multiple issues with training, communication, scheduling, inconsistency in coverage. They provide support and education only to women. The YWCA does not affiliate itself with other YWCAs within other counties, and due to this autonomy, there is a lack of sharing of resources and successful programs. There is controversy associated with serving the LGBTQ community. Due to Clark County Domestic Violence Shelter being gender inclusive, grant funding is a constant source of uncertainty. There are many opportunities available to the Clark County YWCA. The opportunities afforded are immense. Their ability to help a lot of people through support, advocacy, and trainings is extensive. For instance, there is not a lot of help for adolescents in this community due to stringent laws and guidelines implemented which become barriers to parents. If the YWCA were able to take part in the advocating of changing laws, then the power would be given back to the parents and guardians. Since the YWCA works in close proximity to CASA, then the possible outcome of this happening would be great. The YWCA could provide free or low-cost classes for parenting. Due to the lack of interpreters at the YWCA, there is limited information and education being given to the multicultural community. The YWCA is a diverse agency, but not inclusive of international cultures. If they could improve with up-to-date systems and communication, then the change would be increased within our community. They could update their technology, training with various languages, therefore becoming more familiar with the changes in diverse social patterns, population profiles, and lifestyle changes. The YWCA leadership infrastructure may be deemed weak due to the majority of its operations being managed by volunteers who have their own personal lives or a lack of commitment. Therefore, communication and scheduling can be difficult due to lack of contact. The YWCA is dependent upon grants and persons. If the funding were discontinued by the government, then the agency would most likely fall. There are solutions, however. The Clark County YWCA could develop an employment program that serves women through the state's Vocational Rehabilitation Department and WorkSource. The benefits of this include additional funding and a broader area of service to women. In gaining employment, women are more empowered, and therefore the mission of the YWCA is accomplished. Drawbacks to this include difficulty in obtaining volunteers that would be experienced or qualified to provide the service. Additional paid employees may need to be hired. Another solution would be that the YWCA could set up a mental health division that serves women with mental health issues by creating an environment in which they can thrive. This environment would be a community center where they would develop the skills needed to integrate into the community. Benefits include more opportunities for revenue, including proceeds from the center and grant qualification. More women would be served, and there would be more public awareness of the mission of the YWCA because they are more visible with this community center. Drawbacks include the investment of implementing the service, obtaining locations that would suffice for the project, and operation costs. The preferred solution would be to open a YWCA community center in Clark County, where we would include both our ideas and solutions uncovered using the SWOT analysis, worker skills training, daily living skills taught by using peer support specialists, GED education with a multicultural focus, alcohol and drug and mental health service components with individual counseling offered. In addition, it would be advantageous in utilizing various individuals who are bilingual to expand the outreach by helping as many people as possible, and not just women. Research and implement the needed educational, regulatory, and licensure requirements required by Clark County Regional Support Network would enable acceptance of payments for individual participation.